Thank you for visiting our hotel. We look forward to welcoming you again. Seeing guests off at the front door, I smiled and waved back at the children who waved at me. I am Millie, 30 years old. I am the young proprietress of an inn. This is my family's inn. It is located in a famous hot spring resort in Colorado. Thankfully, we are famous as a high-class inn in this area. Many people use this inn. My husband is Thomas, 33 years old. He was originally a sales representative for a travel agency, but when they included our inn in their tour, I made contact with him as a liaison, and that was the beginning of our relationship. We married after 2 years of dating. After our marriage, I quit my job and started working as the executive director of our inn. My parents are still alive and well. My mother is in charge of the inn as the grand landlady, and my father is involved in the management as the president. My husband's parents are also still alive. My father-in-law retired 3 years ago and now works occasionally as a contractor. My mother-in-law is 60 years old this year and has been a housewife. She is an active person and has many friends, and she enjoys spending time with them at women's club and on trips. However, my husband says that my mother-in-law is a spendthrift. Whenever she wanted something, she would buy it without any regard, and my father-in-law would get angry with her. For a while after we got married, the inn's business was doing well and was stable. But then a global pandemic broke out, and our inn was affected, as was the rest of the world. However, at my husband's suggestion, we decided to offer a one-day hot spring tour with meals, only for residents of our state, at a very reasonable price. We were able to attract many guests from nearby areas, and somehow we managed to survive. Recently, things have finally settled down. I'm a little relieved to see that we are now receiving visitors from outside the states as well. I have been living like this for a while now, but there is something that is causing me a bit of headache. It is my husband's mother. My mother-in-law visits us twice or thrice a month in order to see my husband. My father-in-law rarely comes because he says it is too much trouble for him. That in itself is not a problem, but it takes 2 hours from Arizona by plane to our state, and about an hour by local train to get to our home. So it is a little difficult to make a day trip. Therefore, whenever she comes here, naturally she stays overnight. However, my mother-in-law wants to stay at the inn instead of our house. My mother-in-law says, "It must be very difficult to prepare for cooking and accommodation, so I think it would be easier to stay at the inn, where everything is already prepared for you, right? And I can enjoy the large hot spring bath. If we let her stay at our inn, we will have fewer rooms for our guests, which can affect our sales. Also, we can't afford to charge too much for a cheap room, so we have to prepare rooms with a certain level of prestige. Our inn is one of the larger ones in the area, so the most expensive rooms start at $500 per person per night. As you can imagine, my mother-in-law would not be able to stay in one of those rooms. But we will still prepare a medium or higher class room. Of course, we will prepare the food, so the actual cost will be about $300. But we can't charge any money for this. There's one more problem. My mother-in-law says that she is like a hotel insider, and it's checking the inn with a third party's eyes. I want to say, don't do anything unnecessary. But she is my husband's mother, and I can't ignore her. The way we greet and pick up the guests, the customer service at the front desk, the bath and facilities within the inn, and such. She points out and complains about everything. Well, to put it simply, she is a complainer, isn't she? The employees have gotten used to seeing her face. So, Miss Millie, when is the person coming again? They would ask me. She says she is a hotel insider, but she doesn't produce any particular material. She would call me up on her way out and just do nothing but complain. For her point of view, she probably thinks she is giving me advice to improve the quality of the inn. Well, it all just seems like a mother-in-law bullying her daughter-in-law. The ground landlady, my mom, also says she is not doing it out of malice, so just listen to what you need to know and let the rest slide. And my father, the president of the company too. If she likes our inn and hot springs, that's a good thing, isn't it? Just thinks lightly of it. I had never thought that I would have a hard time with my mother-in-law, even though I was staying with my parents. I told my husband about this several times, but I can't just tell her not to come. And isn't it good that she's thinking of us and trying to do her best? He said in a nonchalant tone. One day, I received a call on my phone. It was my mother-in-law. I had a bad feeling about this, but I could not answer it. Hello, it's Millie. Oh, Millie? It's Amanda. It's been a while. Oh, yes, it's been a while. How can I help you today? Oh dear, it's been a long time. So shouldn't you say, how are you, or how are things? Or something like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's alright. So, I have a little favor to ask you. Yes, what is it? A friend of mine from hometown here said that she wants to go to a hot spring. So she was wondering if there was a good place to go. You guys have a good hot spring at your place, and the food is delicious too. So I told everyone about it. Oh, thank you very much. I thought she did something unnecessary again. It's a peak season, so I'm quite busy. I don't have time to worry about my mother-in-law. So they all agreed with me. We are going on a holiday there next month. So, could you save a room for us? Next month? That's a little difficult, but how many people are there? 6, including myself. All women, of course. Then we will split into 2 or 3 rooms. Is that correct? No! My mother-in-law strongly reproached me. They are my friends. So, make sure they have the VIP room. One room, please. The VIP room has a living room, 2 bedrooms, and 2 Japanese-style rooms. It is possible to accommodate 6 people if you insist. But 2 of you will have to sleep on mattress. No. The mattresses that in are hard. Please add 2 more beds. That's impossible. You can't put more beds in that room. No, they're my dear friends, so you should give them the best hospitality. I am inviting them all. So if you mess up, you will embarrass me. Do you understand? She invited all of them? Does that mean I have to give it away for free? That's impossible. That's the deal for the room. And then there's the food. You have to prepare the best food. You understand? Then, take care of it. Oh, yeah. Tell my son to pick me up at the station. The call ended, and I sighed. What the hell was she thinking? I had no choice but I go ahead with what I was told. And then, I discussed this difficult issue of my mother-in-law coming to the inn for a group trip. and that she is insisting that everything be made free of charge, with my husband, who is the managing director. My husband replied, "That's too much. My mother has never worked, so she probably doesn't know how hard it is to make money. I'll talk to my father about it, so let me take care of it." I was anxious, but I decided to trust my husband's words that he would think of something. On the day of the event, my husband went to the station to pick up his mother's group as promised. Soon after, the car came back to drop them off. So I greeted her as she got out of the car. "Welcome." "Oh, Millie, thank you for your hospitality. These are good friends of mine from the local women's association. Take care of us, okay?" They are a group of refined grandmothers. I showed them to the room I had prepared for them. It is a VIP room in this inn and is located in the top floor. It has 2 bedrooms and 2 Japanese-style rooms. It also has a living room and an open-air bath. However, as soon as they entered the room, they immediately complained. "There is a person with a bad leg, and they don't even have a wheelchair. What a bad service!" "I am sorry. I will prepare it for you now. And I want you to prepare some fancier snacks with our tea." "Yes, I'm sorry. I'll bring you some better sweets." The others tried to calm her down, but my mother-in-law kept pointing out this and that. I had no choice but to instruct the waitress in charge of the room to comply with my mother-in-law's request. The group went to a hot spring. I was summoned there too, and I was warned that the wash basin in a changing room was dirty. This is just my impression, but I thought she was just trying to look good in front of our friends. She seemed to act stricter than usual to show them how cool she is. Then it was time for dinner. I took the role of the waitress and served some high-quality dishes to the room, as she had wanted. And the food seems to be generally well received. My mother-in-law, however, was not pleased. "The steamed egg custard is too loose and hard to eat." Or, "The tempura butter is too hot." Or, "The next dish was brought out too soon." And such. Still making complaints here and there. Moreover, "You think I'm an old person, so you are serving less portions?" And demanding for more food. My mother-in-law would say, "This is my daughter-in-law's parents' house, and I let her pay for everything, so don't hesitate to order, okay?" And stir everyone up. She would then ask for additional dishes such as crab, abalone, and other high-end dishes. She added some fine wines for the drinks. To tell the truth, it turned out to be quite a lot of money. Everyone was so daring, and it was hard to believe that they were old people. They ate almost all of the dinner without leaving any leftovers. And since they wanted to take a long soak in the hot spring afterwards, they asked to reserve a private bath for themselves. When I told them that was impossible, they replied, "What kind of proprietress doesn't respond to the needs of her guests?" Something like that. I consulted with my mom, the grand landlady, and she suggested that we could have it reserved to tomorrow morning. When I told this to my mother-in-law, she somehow agreed. After that, they had a massage, ordered some midnight snacks, and a bottle of wine. They are such energetic old ladies. And when it was time to sleep, we brought a bed to their room as they requested. Since it was impossible to carry a big bed, we prepared a smaller bed. But we received a complaint about this as well. "I can't sleep on this bed." She seemed to be very angry. When we were at a loss as to what to do, someone else said it was good enough, and the situation was somehow settled. The stormy day was over, and I was finally released. I told the waitress who helped out that I appreciated her hard work. And because I thought that I put her through more hardship than usual, I gave her a special allowance. I went back to my house, but I was already exhausted. I finished preparing for tomorrow, and it was already past midnight when I went to bed. The next day, they reserved a large public bathhouse and enjoyed a morning bath. It was supposed to be time for cleaning, but we asked the person in charge to change the time. One person's selfishness caused so much inconvenience to many people. Then, my husband said he was going to pick up someone and drove to the station. The breakfast was served without any complaints, and was finished without incident. Well, I was told that the tea was too lukewarm, or the soup was too salty. After finishing the morning service, I returned to the front desk and prepared to check out the guests. At the time, I found out that the total amount of my mother-in-law's group was over $5,000. Soon after, the group appeared. I returned the key to the front desk, stopped my mother-in-law who was leaving, and asked her to settle the bill. Please, pay the bill. The total amount is $5,000. Do you want to pay in cash or by credit card? Then my mother-in-law said, What? You want to take money from your husband's mother? Are you kidding me? You also take money from your relatives? How very greedy! We are a business, and our services are well worth the money. Besides, with such a large amount of money, we'll be put in a tough situation if we don't request your payment. My mother-in-law's face turned red. It's a treat for your mother-in-law, so you shouldn't take any money, right? Whenever you come to my house, do I ask you to give me money? Isn't that the same thing? What a lame excuse. No, that's a difficult story. This time, you told us that you are traveling with a group that will be staying at our inn. This is a different business than a social gathering of relatives, so we would appreciate it if you could pay us properly. What a shock! You have no manners, even though you are my son's wife. It's fine if it's me, but it's rude to my friends, right? At that moment, during an argument between my mother-in-law and me, someone whom I recognized interrupted us. What are you arguing about? Yes, I'm sorry to have troubled you. I bowed my head and apologized. Then I raised my head. What? My father-in-law? He said. Hey, it's been a while. Actually, my son asked me to come here on the first train in the morning. I'm kinda starving. I hope we can have breakfast here later. It was the unexpected arrival of my father-in-law. It's been a while. I will arrange breakfast for you as soon as I can. No. I have to take care of something first. That's why I'm here. My father-in-law came here because my husband asked for help. Then he turned to my mother-in-law. Oh, you! Why are you here? Oh, I came to check on my son and you. Is something weird? She said. No, nothing is weird, but I have a few questions. What is it? You've been arguing for a while now. What's going on? No, it's nothing, isn't it, Millie? I thought it was a good opportunity to tell him everything honestly. Actually, your wife's group has been using her service since yesterday, but she didn't want to make any payment. So I had to explain to her that it was impossible. Really? And how much would that be? Yes. So she requested the use of our VIP room, ordered a variety of additional services, including massage and such. So the total cost came to about $5,000. I see. And she wanted you to give it to them for free? Yes, that's right. When my father-in-law finished listening to what had happened, he asked my mother-in-law,
"Is what Millie says correct?"
"Yes." My mother-in-law was tight-lipped.
"My son told me, but I heard from Thomas that you always don't pay the bill when you come here. Is that true?"
She said, "Oh, yes." "About that? Well, I was a hotel insider, and I gave her a lot of guidance. So in return, I made her give me stuff free of charge." At this point, my father-in-law's expression changed.
"Enough is enough. I already know everything."
"Yes?" My mother-in-law's face stiffened and turned blue.
"You said you were going to see your son, but I heard that you've been taking advantage of this inn, and you would be bullying your daughter-in-law in various ways. Isn't that right?"
"I am sorry. I got a little carried away."
"Do you know that every time you were overcharging for this inn, our son was paying it for you?"
"What?"
"I had a talk with him. He told me that you were always causing trouble for using the inn for free."
"I am sorry."
"And then this trip. Thomas told me because he was worried that you were using the inn for free again. I couldn't leave it at that, so I came here. As I thought, you were causing trouble for Millie and her parents."
"Yes,
I am sorry. I have been concerned about your extravagant spending habits for some time now. Your attitude towards Millie is unforgivable. That's why I made up my mind."
"Is that?"
If you want to see your son so badly, why don't you work here as a waitress for a while? Just until you pay back all your bills."
"Oh no. Even if you tell me that all of a sudden."
"No, you don't understand how hard it is to work and earn money. How many services have you received at this inn so far? You wanted them to give it to you for free. You don't understand how hard it is to work and how important it is to make money. Anyone who doesn't understand that should try it for themselves."
With that words, my father-in-law asked my mom let my mother-in-law work at the inn.
"I am sorry for the trouble I have caused you. Would you please train her for a while? And please deduct the amount of the bill from her pay," he said. "Son, use your mother well."
My husband nodded and said to me,
"I should have been the one to tell my mother strongly from the beginning. I'm sorry for the trouble I caused your family."
He bowed his head. "No, it's okay. What about your mother, for that matter?" "Well, yeah. I'll have her clean the room first. I don't think she can handle customer service, so she'll be a trainee for a while." The next day, my mother-in-law started working as a waitress. The things she needed were sent by my father-in-law from their house. At first, my mother-in-law suffered from sore muscles from the unfamiliar hard work. She probably never thought she would have to clean the inn she had evaluated. In the meantime, she was able to handle the guests, and she took care of what she had complained about earlier. As she went about her various tasks, I think she gradually came to understand a little more how selfish she had been. My mother-in-law has become very calm, and she no longer mistreated me like she used to. I thought it was a little rough at first, but it seems to have been a good medicine for her. My father-in-law's plan was a great success. My job is hard, but when I see the smiles on the customers' faces, I feel happy and my fatigue is lifted. From here on, I hope to continue to see the smiles and hear their words of gratitude, so I will continue to do my best.
My husband called me from Japan. My parents and I have fallen in love with Japan. A vacation home? Well, whatever it's called, we bought it.
You bought it? I have no idea what he's talking about. A vacation home in the US, sure. But a vacation home in Japan? I don't know what they are thinking. Has my husband lost his mind since he reached retirement age? My name is Olivia. I'm 52 years old. I work for a brokerage firm. I have loved money since I was a little girl. Watching the balance in my bank account grow little by little is a moment of bliss. When I tell my friends how much I love money, I get a lot of stares from them. Even as an adult, my love of saving has not changed, and I have been steadily saving money while working. I have increased my savings by occasionally investing them. Of course, there have been some failures, but I'm proud to say that I have been able to steadily build up my assets. My husband Lucas is a government employee. He is careless with money, but he's not the type to waste it. Since we got married, we have been gradually putting our spare money together. We have been investing our money together in a share account. Finally, we reached the $1 million that I had always dreamed of. I'm so happy that I could really achieve it. As I rejoiced that my dream had come true, my husband said to me,
Your dream was not to buy luxury items or to go on a vacation. It was just to your saving goals.
He said this looking dumbfounded. I could not have achieved this on my own, I said, expressing my gratitude. This year, my husband, who is 80 years older than me, reached retirement age. We have $1 million in savings to ensure prosperous retirement. I really wanted to achieve it before my husband's retirement. Thanks to this, my husband's retirement money will be his reward for all the hard work he has done. He can spend it as he likes. My husband has worked diligently and hard for many years. From now on, I'd like him to take a little time out of his schedule and challenge himself to do something he hasn't done in the past. My husband was also thinking of taking the plunge and doing a variety of things after retirement. He decided to take his parents on a trip to Japan to repay them for their help in raising our children. That's great. Your parents will be very happy. They helped me a lot when our kids were young. It's a good chance to repay the favor. Can you take me and my parents with you? I asked him.
No, you have a job to do. I'm sure your parents have to tend the garden too.
He dismissed me with a tone that made light fun of my parents' family who are farmers. To be honest, my husband doesn't think well of my parents who are farmers in the countryside. It has been like this since the time we got married, so there is nothing I can do about it now. He has always liked to make fun of my own parents. Since my husband refused to take us on the trip, I ended up staying at home. Well, I suddenly have to work, so it was tough to take a 10-day vacation. Unfortunately, I gave up this time. Excluding our honeymoon, this trip to Japan will be my husband's first trip abroad. For my parents-in-law, this would be their first trip abroad. The three of them were so excited right from the preparation stage of the trip. They were asking what to bring, what the dress code for dinner would be, and so on the phone. I spent my time as usual, thinking how envious I was that they were having so much fun. I feel like I'm being left out of the group, and I'm starting to feel a little sad. My husband and his parents are staying in luxury hotel suites as recommended by the travel agency. They are also going on a cruise that will take them on a tour of Japanese culture. I'm wondering how much the total will be. I told my husband he could spend his retirement money however he wanted. I thought to myself by trying to calm down. But when I heard their happy voices on the phone every night, I couldn't help but feel like saying a sarcastic remark to them. I try to remain calm. I don't want to get into a fight before they leave. And the day finally came for them to depart. I took the three of them to the airport. I was asked to drive them there like it was the obvious thing to do. I asked them why they don't take a taxi, and then,
"You have no kindness for my parents. That's terrible,"
is what Lucas said to me. So I ended up dropping them off at the airport. I told them I couldn't take them because I had to work. I was a bit mortified that they would make me take time off work to pick them up and drop them off. On the way there, contrary to the three of them who were excited to leave, I felt more and more alone. My husband did not notice at all. When we arrived at the airport, I helped my parents-in-law with their luggage and check in. Finally, I was able to see them off. I was relieved to think that I would be able to live quietly for a while. They arrived in Japan safely and sent me a happy report with pictures. Their hotel room was luxurious, with a view of Kyoto Daimonji characters in front of it, a living room, and even a dining room. I wonder how much it cost per night. As I was reading the report with some anger, they asked me,
"Did you see the pictures? Isn't it a great room?"
My husband called me up with pride, so I said, "How much money are you going to spend? Are you getting carried away?" My husband was instantly in a bad mood.
"It's my money. I can do what I want. I'm having fun, and you are interrupting it by talking nonsense. Read the atmosphere."
He hung up the phone, and I never heard from him again. 10 days later, my husband and in-laws returned home after the trip as planned. I picked them up at the airport. They didn't like the fact that I waited for them in a temporary parking space instead of at the arrival gate. All three of them did not speak at all in the car. What is this? I had to adjust my work schedule to come and pick them up. But this attitude, it makes me angry. I'm not their chauffeur. I drove on, frustrated. When I got home, my husband's complaints started again.
"What the hell do you think you're doing? You lowered my spirits during the trip by saying stupid things. You didn't even pick us up properly. Don't get carried away."
What? You're the one who is carried away. I did come pick you up. Why do I have to park the car and go to the arrival gate? You're not a child. Don't be ridiculous.
I'm just soaking up the feeling of accomplishment after all the work I have done. I'm worried about my future if my wife doesn't have a shred of respect for me.
With these words, my husband retreated to his room. What? Why is it my fault? What do you mean, the future? I'm the one who should be worried. I was so angry that I couldn't sleep at night for a while after that, and I couldn't get any work done. So, after 2 weeks of not talking to my husband, he said,
"I'm going to Japan tomorrow, so please take me to the airport in the morning."
What? Japan? Tomorrow? My husband is leaving for Japan with my in-laws, and I was confused. He had just returned from Japan the other day, and now is going to Japan again. And my in-laws are accompanying him again. I have nothing but questions about my husband's mysterious behavior. And they used me as a driver again. My in-laws did not even say thank you. How in the world am I being treated? I want to go to Japan too, and I want to take my parents with me. From the very beginning of our marriage, my husband has not thought well of my parents who live in the countryside. When he came to my parents' house to meet them, my husband, who grew up in the city, was surprised at how old the house was. On the way home after receiving my family's blessing to marry, he said to me, "I saw your mother's sunburned face. Unbelievable," he said. His mother is a city madam who is passionate about beauty and never misses a beauty salon or beauty treatment appointment. I was sad my mother was compared with such a person since my mother worked so hard.
You should get her to look a little nicer for the wedding.
My husband said, and I remember taking her to beauty salons and beauty parlors in a hurry. I'm glad that my mother was so happy to be treated like a princess. But then I remember the bad times. My husband speaks ill of my mother, but I think that my husband's parents are also very arrogant. I can't really say that to them though. Every year since we got married, we have invited my in-laws to dinner on Mother's Day, Father's Day, and birthdays. At first, they were grateful, but now they request what they want to eat without any hesitation. In addition to that, this trip to Japan. I wanted to have dinner with my parents as well, but my husband didn't take it well. He told me,
You should not be so attached to your parents when you married me.
So my dreams stayed unfulfilled. I secretly sent flowers to my parents without my husband noticing. My parents are just happy that their daughter is well taken care of. They tell me not to worry about them. Whenever I call my parents, I make sure my husband doesn't see me. I feel that I'm putting a burden on my parents. When I apologize for the inconvenience, they say,
Don't worry about it. That's the way it is when you get married.
But my parents are old. I would like to show my appreciation in some way, but it is not going as smoothly as I wish. Well, my husband left me alone and traveled to Japan for the second time. I later learned that during the first trip, a local tour guide introduced a real estate agent to my husband and his parents, who were excited about Japan and wanted to live there. My husband got carried away. He told them that he had a lot of money in savings and retirement. I feel that he might have been a sucker. So the real estate agent and the tour guide took them for a ride. I think he was preparing to buy a property by opening a bank account at the local bank during the trip. Once he was ready, he returned to Japan and transferred the funds from the brokerage firm. I wish he has consulted me at that stage, even if it was just for a few words. It's a matter of hindsight, isn't it? 2 days after he left for Japan for the second time, I received a call from my husband. I didn't think it was a good call from my husband, who left with such an attitude. I answered the phone brusquely.
What? What's with your voice? Are you mad at me?
Of course I am. What do you want? I'm at work.
I need you to transfer some money to the account I'm about to give you. I need 100K urgently.
What? 100K? What even is this bank?
It's a Japanese bank. The broker's commission for buying the villa was higher than I expected.
I was completely overwhelmed by all of this information. I couldn't think of anything else to say. I wonder if elderly people who get scammed by bank transfer scams are like this. At any rate, I thought he might not be able to come home without the money, so I decided to do as my husband said. I tried to follow the procedure as my husband told me, but when I saw the balance in my savings account, my eyes went completely black. Wait a minute, what? Why? The 1 million that I had worked so hard to save had been wiped out. Now it was showing almost zero balance. I checked my account history and found that all my mutual funds and stocks had been sold. The funds had been transferred to the Japanese bank where I was about to deposit the money. Was my husband temporarily returned to Japan for this procedure? Without consulting me, I will never forgive him for this. They were about to successfully purchase real estate with the money I deposited. My husband returned home with great satisfaction. I urged him to sit on the sofa. What's this Japanese villa? What did you do with the money we saved together? I asked, holding back the urge to yell at him. My husband seemed completely oblivious to my anger. He was still in a good mood.
Think of all the fun we will have when we get old and can go to Japan anytime we want, huh? You have something to look forward to, don't you? Let's go together next time.
What are you talking so carefree about? Why do you think I'm just going to? I was so confused about what to say that tears just started to well up.
I'm sorry, it was selfish of me. But why don't you go with me when you retire? We can live over there if you want.
No matter what I blamed them for, there was nothing I can do about the money that was gone and the real estate that remained. Why am I going through this? Every time I thought about it, I felt depressed, and I was getting more and more depressed day by day. I decided to break it off as much as I could so that I would not have to go on like this. After that, my husband started going to Japan once every 2 months. I thought maybe he was having an affair, so I looked into it. Apparently, he goes with his parents every time. The first summer after purchasing the vacation home is approaching. I want to take my parents to Japan for a long vacation. We want to go see the villa. I asked him.
What? You want to go? With your parents? Japan doesn't suit country people. Me and my parents are going on a long vacation, so we don't have a room in the first place.
Since you spent my money, I have the right to use the villa, don't I?
What do you mean, my money? Your parents are stranger to my family by blood. That's why I won't let you take them there, and why I won't let you use it.
By blood? What are you talking about? Well, I'm not connected to your parents by blood either. Does that mean I can't go?
I guess that's what it means.
I see, so that's how you thought of it. So my parents and I are strangers to you.
That's an obvious fact.
How could he say such a terrible thing with a goofy smile on his face? My body was shaking with anger. I don't care what happens to you.
What? Try to do whatever you want. I don't care.
You said it. I will do it. Just watch me. I immediately applied for a paid leave of absence while my husband was in Japan. I sold my and my husband's cars, packed up our belongings, and left home. Since both cars were in my name, I could easily get rid of them. But since the house was in my husband's name, there was nothing I could do. So I changed the locks on the house. Now my husband cannot enter the house after he returns from Japan. As I expected, I received a phone call from my husband.
Hey Olivia, where are you right now? I can't unlock the door. Let me in.
No, it's not broken. I changed the locks. I have all the new keys, and I'm never going back there again. After spending our money all over the place, I'm divorcing you who said that we were strangers, since we are not connected by blood.
What? Wait a minute. I don't understand.
Just as I planned, he's confused. This is what you get. It makes me laugh. I'll be contacting you through my lawyer. Don't try to call my personal phone. Goodbye. I hung up the phone, and my husband tried to call me repeatedly, but I ignored him. He couldn't get into the house and had nowhere to go, so he ran to his parents' house. He is a small man to go back to his parents' house at a time like this, instead of going to a hotel or something. This time, my in-laws started calling me, but of course I ignored it. They were too persistent, so I turned off my phone. Later, the lawyer I hired contacted my husband. The content was a declaration of intent to divorce and a request for alimony. The main reason for the divorce was that he had spent most of the $1 million, which was the couple's joint property, without permission. My desired terms are the remaining deposit and the money from the disposal of the house be mine, and alimony is paid to me. My husband did not accept these terms, and we had to go through divorce mediation. Naturally, the mediators were on my side because of the expensive amount of money spent. As a result of the mediation, my husband accepted the divorce and alimony payment. In fact, my husband has reached the retirement age. but he is not yet old enough to receive a pension. He did not even apply for an advance. He was caught off guard because I was still working while his own income had ceased to come in. Did he let his guard down? Or did the fact he had a retirement allowance and a deposit make him too big and too foolish? He had planned to take it easy until the year he received his pension. This was after he had turned down all offers of new employment from his workplace. He lost his savings, his house, and my husband's own possessions were zero. With no job and no income, my husband had to pay alimony to me. My husband seems to have become mentally unstable. He is treated as a burden by his parents, even though they readily accepted his hospitality when he took them out for meals or to Japan. I think it is terrible that they treat him like a burden. But I guess it is like childlike parent. The problem is the Japanese villa though. According to the lawyer, there are quite a few monthly maintenance fees. It has a large floor plan and a shared pool. They need almost $50,000 a month in maintenance fees. Nowadays, the villa is a vacation home that we cannot afford to go. To pay for the upkeep, my 60-year-old husband works day and night at a factory job. Even if he wanted to give up the villa, it would cost a lot of money to go there and to set up an intermediary. It costs a lot of money, so there seems to be no way to get out of it. The debt seems to be mounting little by little. They are getting to the point where they are going to have to let go of the in-laws' house soon. They deserve it, don't they? As for me, most of the money I've saved so far was spent, but to tell the truth, when I had reached my goal of $1 million, I lost sight of some of my goals. I am 8 years younger than my husband and still have a job. Since I divorced my husband and now live alone, my living expenses are much lower and I have more money to invest. I am looking forward to seeing how much I can increase from my current balance to retirement age, combined with the money from the sale of my home. I am going to try my best to buy a small house in Hawaii when I retire. My parents have never been able to travel much because of the farm, and I want them to spend their retirement in Hawaii. I thought they would be happy if I let them spend their retirement in Hawaii. I'm now looking into properties. I have been working all my life, so I would be happy to spend the second half of my life with my parents and me alone.